But that is her prerogative, and we'll be hearing more about the ladies as we go on. But first, let's talk about our knights. So we're going to look in broad detail at the armour these knights are wearing. Our knights have got their leg armour on already, because yesterday, frankly, took a bit too long. So we thought, let's get the legs on already. They're pretty self-explanatory, but you can see they're armoured all the way down the legs. Key to the arming of the knight is the doublet underneath, the arming doublet. Now that is covered in laces. And what are those laces for, my lady?
I believe those laces would be tying the various parts of the armour to the arming doublet. So this arming doublet is your foundation garment. It has to be very well tailored to each of our competitors and really well made, quite frankly. Don't forget to pay your tailor. Your armour will fall off.
Quite right. So it needs to be, even the doublet underneath needs to be well fitted to support the weight of the pieces of armour that will be tied to it with waxed cord. Now we'll see some of our knights. You can see male armour forming a part of their armour. You'll see male skirts, and indeed even a male shirt under Val Timur, who I'm just passing now. Now that male obviously covers the gaps underneath the armour, is one way of doing your armour. A male itself, and I do use the word male, ladies and gentlemen, you will have heard the expression chainmail. It's a nasty Victorian expression invented by Sir Walter Scott, who invented much of medieval history, and indeed the country of Scotland. Also known as Sir Walter Scotland. So, chainmail is the incorrect term. The correct term is mail. That is a Norman French word. It derives from the Latin maculus, because mail goes right back to Roman times. So you're actually more likely to see a mail shirt on the back of a Roman legionary than the segmented armour we always think of. But I want you to remember this, ladies and gentlemen, chainmail is incorrect. So whenever you meet a reenactor who is talking about his mail armour, do repeatedly use the word chainmail to him, because every time you do, a little bit of his soul dies. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Mail, not chainmail, doesn't really matter. But it's worth noting that because mail is such a superbly recyclable material, it's staggering to think, but entirely possible, that some of the mail that adorned the back of a Roman legionary in the 1st and 2nd centuries may have actually lived long enough to be on the back of somebody at the Battle of Agincourt. It's entirely possible, because it's such a recyclable material. So mail armour, very good, but of course that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the plate armour, or the harness that goes over the top of it.
Absolutely. Do we see different? I see different styles of harness being put on. Does it matter what type of armour you have for the event that you're going to do?
Indeed it does. So we have two types of armour, broadly speaking. We have field armour, armour that you would wear for the battle. Now that will cover your entire body, giving you general protection. You change leave, my lady.
You just want to be the one so the audience can see you.
That's because I'm shorter.
I didn't want to say.
My horses.
They didn't notice.
So you can wear field armour, which is armour for the battlefield, and that gives you general protection. But of course in the joust, you're only facing the threat from the front. No one's going to hit you in the back. Hello. Thanks for coming. Sorry about the jelly. So, you're only facing a threat from the front. So you can have a jousting armour, where you've concentrated the armour towards the chest and the face area to absorb more impact, and you're not worrying so much about the back. Now some knights choose to joust in their field armour, and indeed some of ours are today, and some say that's a bit of a risk, but we shall see.
Absolutely. So, thinking of, oh, that's an interesting thing that Zach has on his leg.
So I noticed that Zach Evans here up in the corner, one of our English team.
It's got a fancy bit of bling around his calf.
So around his armour, he has a decorative garter, I suppose.
It's a garter. He's wearing a knight. The knight is wearing a garter.
And that garter says, in service de la dame, in service of the ladies. What could that mean? I'm going to say that again, in service of the ladies.
Well, Nigel, jousting historically has always been a very chivalric sport, and although it's the modern century, we still hold to those principles. And historically, the head judges were always the ladies, who thought they had a better sense of fair play and sportsmanship than the men. Ladies, I think we can agree that sometimes we have a better sense of fair play than men. No? Okay, Nigel's going to agree with me because I scare him sometimes.
I'm not saying a word. So when we look at the joust, this thing is, by the 15th century, the tournament has developed into a particular thing. Some people would tell you that jousting is training for war. No, it's not. They're already trained for war. You don't need to joust to train for war. It's the other way around. You joust after you train for war. Some people say it's a sport. Yes, it's a sport to a degree. Is it a show? Yes, it's a show to a degree. It has its origins back in the 11th century, where two knights, and these were relatively new figures on the medieval field, when two knights meeting each other on a road would challenge each other, just as a friendly fight. Say, oh, you're a knight, are you? I'm a knight. Should we have a bit of a ding-dong? Huh? And what they do, of course, they've only got sharp weapons, so they agree that what they will do is they will break their lance upon the other fellow's shield. So the idea is, I'm going to deliver you such a blow that it will break my lance. That's how we test the power of the blow. We're going to test whether you've got a good seat on your horse, because if you fall off your horse, you haven't. Okay? And we're going to test your shield and your courage just to do this crazy thing. Because jousting is basically a big, great medieval game of chicken. Okay? Only thing is, it's a game of chicken in which no one ever chickens out. It's absolutely balmy, frankly. It always was. But it really is, it's a test of courage and skill. However, it turns out that jousting had another advantage. By the end of the 12th century, those two knights meeting on the road had become massive tournaments. Don't let me wake you up.
He's having a bit of a snooze.
Always good to get a bit of a rest. By the end of the 12th century, massive tournaments involving hundreds of knights, and huge crowds come to watch them. And because what the knights have realised is what they really want is advancement. They want to be seen so they can make progression, so they can promote themselves, so they can get land and wealth. Well, obviously a knight will do that by fighting battles. But suppose there's no battles to fight. Or suppose, even worse, all the battles are sieges, where you don't really get to canter around on your horse looking magnificent. How do I show my chivalric prowess when I'm squatting in a tent waiting for engineers to dig a tunnel? This is no good at all. So what happens is the joust and the tournament emerges out of this to give a place where the knights in peacetime can show their valour, their chivalry, their sportsmanship and honour. And very importantly, they can show it not just to the great lords, but they can show it to the ladies. Because, get a cheer for the ladies. Particularly all the single ladies. Because medieval Europe is full of wealth, because the thing is, knights die a lot in battle and of disease, usually dysentery. They die an awful lot, leaving behind any number of wealthy heiresses, some quite young, and wealthy and wealthy widows. Yeah? So these knights can be noticed, and their careers can be advanced by marriage to these wealthy people. And indeed, the greatest knight there ever was, William Marshall, my hero, look him up when you get home, advanced his career through the tournament and eventually married Isabel de Clare, one of the wealthiest, most powerful women in England, and so he became the Earl of Pembroke. So it really was worth doing, getting involved in the tournament and the joust and impressing the ladies.
Absolutely. It's one of these knights wanting to impress me, but now in the modern day, we have as myself, who will be the head judge, keeping track of the scores. A little bit less of who's impressed me, who looks cute and single. Yeah.
So our last knight who's armouring himself, as the rest of our knights have gone out of the arena to prepare to mount. And I can see, I believe that's Valcourt of France.
Yep. I had a secret competition. Who could get into their armour the fastest? Alexander Leon of France won that prize this afternoon. So, yeah. He gives credit to Esquire.
So, I should tell you a little story, really, that underlies this tournament we're having today. So this is a tournament for the Queen's Cup for this weekend to celebrate our own Queen's Jubilee year. Can we get a cheer for the Queen? All right. And so there's that, the Queen's Cup, but also there's a bit of a story about Leeds Castle and our French team. So we are honoured, as always, to be joined by the very gallant fellows of Chevalerie Initiative from Normandy, who come over here every year to do a friendly contest with our own UK Knights, Destria. And we're all great chums, and it's always great to see them. We've missed them so much for the last 3 years, just as we've missed all of you. But there's actually a historical story behind this, because Chevalerie Initiative joust very regularly at a castle called Crèvecoeur. And those of you who've read anything about Leeds Castle will know that this original stone castle of the 12th century was founded by Robert de Crèvecoeur. So literally the brother of the knight who had Castle Crèvecoeur in France. So there is an historical link between Leeds Castle and the castle that Chevalerie Initiative joust at, which is amazing when you think about it. You can wrap up that kind of history. So we'll be celebrating that history. We'll be celebrating a Jubilee weekend with the Queen's Cup, whether you like it or not. You don't get to vote on it. And we will be enjoying ourselves immensely as we prepare for the next round, which will be, my lady.
Well, we're going to be having the Skillet Arms, Nigel, the training grounds for our knights before the joust, to get their eye in and their practice in skill and accuracy with their weapons. So for the Skillet Arms, I have placed 2 challenges for our knights that you'll see in front of you. First challenge that Nigel's going to go and demonstrate past will be at the rings. So our competitors will take a light lance or spear and ride past these rings, having to get the tip of their spear through the ring itself. You get 1 point for a dislodge and 3 points for a carry. I did it better than he did. The next skill that I have asked our knights to face is the deadly cabbage. They will pick up a sword. Sorry, I had to rip it off just to show off Nigel. And they will ride past the cabbage.
Hateful cabbage!
Gaining 1 point for a forehand cut, 2 points for a backhand cut, and 3 points if they manage to carry the cabbage on the tip of their sword. Now the reason a forehand cut is not worth as much is you could just ride down with your sword held out in front of you and you will hit the cabbage. There's not a lot of skill in that. I want a little bit more timing and accuracy.
Quite
now,
right.
The final tiebreaker that we will use, because it will be called, it's called the quintain. Can I say that slowly enough to give the ground crew time to run over so they can demonstrate it?
So the quintain, of course, some of you will recognise this as the tool that was used to practice for the joust. And you see it has a shield mounted on a spinning arm. Should we do it a bit quicker? Come on, wake up. She gets bored while I'm talking.
You're talking about the ground
She's not the only
crew,
one, you say. Yes, I know. So we have a shield mounted on a spinning arm, and we must strike it with the lance. Whoa! And it's quite hard to budge, actually, it turns out. So it's not an easy target. The thing is about jousting is that when you strike your enemy, who will be coming towards you, on a horse as well, obviously, there will be a closing impact of around 40 miles an hour concentrated into the tips of those lances. And when that lance hits your enemy who's coming at you at 20 miles an hour and he weighs half a ton, that lance is going to kick back at you. So practicing against a hard target like the quintain is absolutely essential for developing jousting skill. Now we believe that the word quintain goes back again to Roman times, to the 5th street in a Roman camp, a word I cannot even pronounce, quinterissum in Latin, which is actually the street that the Romans in camp would use for training. So we believe this is where this phrase quintain comes from, basically meaning the training equipment. English crowd, all about the animals. Quite right too.
In first will be our visitors.
So, coming across La Manche, a fantastic team of knights, superb horsemen of Chevalerie Initiative. Give them a cheer as they enter the arena. And I can see in the centre, Alexander Leon with the gold greyhound head, I like that, on his helmet. To his right, on the grey horse, Meryl Benou. And to his left, on the left-hand side, I believe that's Val Cool, Monsieur Cool. Literally that cool. He's very cool, actually, very nice. So that's Chevalerie Initiative, ladies and gentlemen. The away team. So do you want to meet the home team?
Yay!
Here they come. Representing the UK, representing England, the Knights of Destria.
Woo-hoo!
Come on, England.
So we have on the black horse, on the left is Zach Evans. Can you get a cheer for Zach? In the centre, wearing that fine Gothic armour, is Emma Pern. Is it? Oh, it's not Emma Pern. Who's that? Is that Mark Capel? Oh. He looks much more slim and attractive. Oh, there's Emma over there. And on the right, who's that lady? Because I'm probably going to get it wrong. That's Big Val, is it? Okay. So we have Val Teamer, an adopted Englishman, riding on the right-hand team. So Destria UK.
It's a good thing you're not looking to impress the ladies, confusing Emma with Mark. Emma, you're much nicer
she's over there,
looking
look.
than Mark.
Hello, Emma. Oops.
Give them a cheer as they array in front of you, ladies and gentlemen.
So just like the foot combat this morning, all of the scores accrued in each round will go towards the final tournament victory. And the scoreboard is behind me here. And Milady, I think, will explain it to you because I can't make it out at all, I'm too thick.
I'd never say that where you could hear me, Nigel.
Maths, don't do maths.
We have on the lower levels, there's the 3 different disciplines our teams are competing in: foot combat, joust, and skill at arms. Above is the team total itself. So you can see that our French visitors have been doing very well indeed yesterday and this morning, and they have a total of 13 points. Don't worry though, England is not far behind, they have 7. This next competition you're about to watch is worth 3 points. The team that comes in first will get 3 points. The team that comes in second gets nothing. That's my scoring system. Very harsh. I like it. So, it's still, all of this will accrue throughout the weekend and will award that cup to the team at Monday afternoon who has the most points. So it's still in there. Oh. I will now ask our competitors to warm themselves and their horses to the list. A lot of skill in that. You have to judge the speed of the different horses. One might be going faster than the other. Who should you put on the inside? Who's going to be doing the tighter turn? There's a lot of thought goes into that process.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, all of our horses today are provided by the superb Atkinson stunt team, Mark Atkinson. And he provides horses for many jousts, including the Royal Armouries, our joust at Arundel International Tournament. And you may also know his name for providing horses for Poldark and The Crown on television. And we could not ask for better horses than those from the excellent Mr. Atkinson. Give us a wave, Mark. So let's give a big cheer for the English team as they start the day.
Woo-hoo!
She actually reached around and found a strawberry and I didn't give her.
Oh, now, I have to say, the English maintain much better formation than they did yesterday. They're doing right to concentrate on their horses' pace and formation rather than fixating on the target.
No,
so they did much better yesterday than they did yesterday on that, but I don't think they took a target. Milady will confirm.
No, they did not. There was a tickle of the ring from Zach Evans, but he did not take the ring.
Give them a cheer, encourage them. And I can see cabbage flying, that's what we want to see. Disgusting stuff.
That was, and impressively, 3 backhand cuts.
Now that, despite the unfortunate failure with the rings, they did perform much better as a team. And of course, the thing about jousting is it's an individual sport based on the individual prowess of the rider. Here they have to work as a team, as of course cavalry always must.
Riders will align themselves to face the rings.
A little bit of keenness from this beautiful dark bay Iberian Rodney.
When you're ready, France.
Not happy,
Ridden
is
by
he?
Alexander.
Oh, he got all of them.
That would be 3 carries. Oh, I missed something.
That is superb. Well done, gentlemen.
Right. Bit of a discussion with one of my co-organizer. So, but that was 3 carries for 9 points.
Here they go for the cabbages.
So 3 forward cuts, giving them 3 points, plus that point for formation. They did do a good job of pulling it back in. Sorry, 4 points to 9, 13 points to France. Now, I want to, France made those rings look very easy. So, we're gonna do a second round, but I would like to shrink those rings right down. So I've had my ground crew cut the size of those rings in half, and instead of the cabbage, much too big, much too easy to hit, the mighty apple. I promise there are apples on there. You can barely see them, but there are apples.
Now I'll tell you from experience, ladies and gentlemen, that because the sky has turned grey, that makes this round rather tricky. On a good sunny day, you can see those targets much better, but on a bit of a grey English day, not so well.
Ground crew ready? England, when you're ready.
Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Give them a cheer. Good formation. I see a ring carried.
I see a carry for Zach Evans and a dislodge for Val, for a total of 4 points for that round.
Nicely done, Zach Evans for England there, a full carry.
That is not easy to do, ladies and gentlemen. These rings are very tiny.
Now,
The
apple
poms.
Les pommes. Good formation. I see apple flying. Give that a cheer, ladies and gentlemen. That was excellently done.
That was well done. And, ladies and gentlemen, what I like is it was silence, which tells me they weren't hitting the metal pins that are holding those apples in place. That is precision. 3 forehand cuts to give a haircut to those apples. So, well done, gentlemen. That is 3 points for the apples, an additional point for formation, 4 points for there. All right. France, can you better that?
Oh, I think they probably will. They
Now,
probably
Chevalier
better.
Initiative are a school for knighthood. Arnaud Léon, the patron of the school, giving you a wave there. A superb horseman and a superb teacher who, just as it was in medieval times, teaches young men how to joust as knights.
France, when you're ready. England, make sure you're out of the way.
I can see a carry. At least one. That was beautifully done.
I see 2, 3 carries.
Nice.
That is impressive, ladies and gentlemen.
All 3 carried, madam.
All 3 carried.
Give that a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
That is amazing.
That is superb riding.
Not quite holding our formation at the end.
Celebrating too much, I think.
I'd celebrate that too. Those rings are tough.
Here they go. Give them a cheer. I see one apple cleanly taken. I heard a post chink.
Yep, I see 2 apples cleanly cut. And my ground crew tells me it was a good cut to the pin. It was the pins are very long on some of these. So 3 good forehand cuts for 3 points, but no point for the formation. So I will give our scoring height of medieval technology, ladies and gentlemen. It's a woman with a pencil down here, frivolously adding up for me. And I will ask each of our teams to select their best competitor to face a final round of rings and cabbage. Now, to make this different, we're going to have changed the way the rings and cabbage are set out. See, I have my ground crew sitting up. They've changed them to a near side and offside. That means the knights have to change the side of their body the lances and swords will be on. We're also now going to have a quintain run. So, who will be competing for England? Zach. And then now I'm going to go and get as the French decide, I will be getting our total. So, my scoring judge has informed me that with England is with 15 points. Well done, England. And charging into the lead with 25 points is our lovely visitors from France. Right, so Zach Evans has been selected to ride at the individual and more difficult targets. We're making sure that everything is fair, and that's lovely. Our French team captain is making sure that everything is set correctly for the English competitor. Friendly competition. Right, when you're ready, Zach.
Zach Evans already having a good day. Can he improve upon it? 1, 2.
2 carries.
So, a bit of tactics there.
He knew. My ground crew's training. He didn't know. He knew. It was his tactic to only go for the rings on that side. So he has got 6 points for the rings. See how he fares with the mighty cabbage.
Bit of tactics from Zach Evans there, choosing to get 2 good targets rather than go for 3. And he is riding Jazz. Quite a springy horse, that's not going to make it easy. 1. Oh.
Maybe Zach's technique of only going for 2 paid off, so that's 3 points for 1 carry.
But a gallant effort to go for all 3 targets. I'm sure you agree. Give him a round of applause.
It was worth the facing the quintain. See if he can better his father's score from yesterday.
So.
Absolutely. Alex is very excited. Alex, go join your friends. Alex.
Alexander, the lady is calling you.
Alexander.
Excusez-moi, monsieur. La dame is trying to get your attention.
If not, that can rattle is on his head. It's fine. I'll wake him up. There he goes. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big cheer for the English team with 27 points. Woo! But please give an even bigger cheer, because with 34 points, we have France.
Boo!
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 But please, give a round of applause for the keen eyes of our judges on the ground, because without them, this all goes very wrong.